Cocalico Township Supervisor meeting for October 15th to order. Will please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please silence your cell phones. Because of COVID, we need everybody to sign in and put your addresses on the table back there. So if you haven't signed in yet, please go back there and sign in case something happens, we need to get a hold of you. Okay? So if you didn't sign in, please sign in now. This meeting was advertised October 15th in the after review. Also, after our last meeting, we did not have any executive sessions. I'll wait till they sign in. The Adamstown Library Director, Carolyn White, would like to do a presentation for us tonight. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for giving me a moment to tell you about what's going on at the library. Wow, there's a lot of you. What's what happens when I sit up front? I don't know. Good crowd. All right, Penny, do you want to go to the next slide? I don't know how many of you guys can see this, but it's a great presentation. Oddly enough, this mission statement was written for the library about 12 years ago, and recently it has become even more important to us. As you'll see, our mission has included the fact that we are also a virtual community center, as well as a physical space for years. And obviously, in recent times, we've become even more virtual, even more electronic, so it's just a good thing that they put that in there all those years ago. So currently, the library is doing a couple of on-site services as well as virtual services, and I just wanted you to be aware of what they were, because I wanted you to be able to tell other people what it is that your public library is doing right now. So we are currently doing curbside pickup, which is located on the right-hand side of the library by the staff entrance. The curbside is available 6 days a week. Patrons can just go online, place a hold there, shoot us an email, give us a call, and then they'll be able to come at a specific time to pick up whatever it is that they have on hold. And that process is totally contactless. You just put those items in their trunk and they drive away. If they don't know what it is that they want to read, that's often the case for folks who come into the library. They don't know what they're looking for, they just want to browse. We have kind of a grab-and-go bag service, so they can say, hey, I really love mysteries, and we'll just grab a couple books that we think that they'd like. And that is our book match service, so you can go onto the website and just apply for that right there. We're also doing laptop appointments, so on the right-hand side, someone is testing out one of our laptops. We have extended our Wi-Fi service 95 feet. So we have a lot of people sitting on the swing, or they'll sit in their cars, or even on the curb. And even when we were closed, we had 60 people every month coming to the library and just sitting in the parking lot to use our internet. We are also circulating those 6 days a week. We are also providing printing services, so patrons can either email us a document to print, or they can print directly from one of the laptops, and we'll have that ready for them to come collect.
Carolyn, is that an electric charging station?
Yes, we do have 2 electric charging stations there. There's a good spot because, right off the turnpike. Yeah.
Good to know.
We are also doing some government services, so we have resumed doing passport processing. To protect the staff, we're currently, the photo processing is currently on hold. But obviously, as most countries still have traveling restrictions, we're only getting about 5 appointments every week instead of the normal like 15 a day. But hopefully, once things go back to normal, that will go back to normal for us as well. Next bullet. We are also being required to quarantine all of our materials for 168 hours, which is 7 days, in order to participate in the countywide circulation system. So all of the libraries in the county have had to agree to do that. The Adamstown Borough has graciously agreed to let us use their meeting room to quarantine all of our materials before we're able to safely check them in and return them back to the shelves. So if you ever pop your head in, you'll just see trash bags lining the walls. It's not trash, it's our books. So that's how we're quarantining. And then the staff, for the most part, if they're not providing direct services to the public, they're doing any indirect work from home. So we are offering a lot of virtual programs. This is the one place where we were able to have volunteers helping us when we first closed, not from the library, of course, but from home, like on Facebook with our teen programs and stuff like that. We are currently actively looking for some community sponsors to help us with our virtual funding throughout the rest of the year. So we have reached out to several people. And doing the services virtually is really fun. Because we're able to reach people from all over the world. We actually have a group of women from Ireland who stay up until midnight Ireland time to do our adult crafts and chat program. So it's really fun to be able to do those kind of things. As you can see from this photo, we received hundreds of books from the Berks County YMCA to use for programming. So we do have several book clubs planned, but we were also able to give them to families who were participating in community meal programs. So we donated books to Swamp Lutheran Church, Adamstown St. Paul, Families at the Declaration House, and Refreshing Mountain Virtual School Camp. And then since school started, we've kind of shifted our programming focus to more after-school programs and supplemental education. So next slide. And the kids here, we're also doing outreach that isn't the internet because we know that there's a lot of people in our community who don't have the internet. So we created a free Go-Go craft kit where it has all the instructions for how to make the craft as well as all the supplies besides like basics of glue and scissors and stuff like that. And they can just come pick up one of those kits at the library, take them home and make them from home. We also did have an app to do summer reading, but we did that on paper as well, for those people who don't have internet. So we do realize that, there are a good number of people that we serve that don't have that ability. And then we're also doing lots of reference and readers advisories or things that we were doing before. We're just doing them virtually now. So we get a lot of community requests, people looking for things. Last week I had a grandparent who called and they read an article that there was lead in old children's books and they were concerned about that. So there's that, you guys are safe. But we get a lot, we're always keeping busy with those kinds of questions. And then this is our newest project, which is pop-up browsing, which is at the new library. So we have parts of new and popular items that people can browse right there and check out since we're still closed to the public. We of course follow safety procedures, mask social distancing, and the number of people that could come in at a time was limited. So our first one was this past Saturday, and then we're going to be doing another one on the 24th. We'll still be closed on the 24th at 9 to 12 at the new library. Let's see. Okay, and then just quick, I just want you guys to have this information. These are just some of the virtual services that we are offering right now. So there's a tutoring platform that the library subscribes to. Anyone with a library card can get free tutoring in any subject from pre-K to college. We also have Scholastic Book Flicks and Tumble Books. So if there are children in your life, you should know about these sites. You can visit the library website to learn more about them. There is also Job Now, which helps with resumes and job interviews. Power Library has PA job resources that people can access, and then we also have A to Z databases, which is great for job searching, but is also good for personal business owners. If they were to purchase this on their own, it's a very expensive database, but with a library card, you have access to it for free. And then, of course, Overdrive, which is our downloadables. The county commissioners have given public libraries in Lancaster County an additional $100,000 to use on ebooks for countywide residents. So we are adding a lot of those to our collection because people are really using ebooks and audiobooks, e-audiobooks during this time. Our usage is up 95% right now for those. And you can also use Universal Class, which is very similar to Skillshare. If anyone is familiar with Skillshare, it is a online learning community where people who enjoy learning through educational videos can go. So there are over 500 classes on that, which is great, obviously, for homeschool families, but it's also they also offer continuing education credits, which is really great for employees and businesses. So, the categories are really broad. They have, courses on accounts payable, creative writing, there's like cookie decorating, so literally there is something for everyone on there. And then Power Library, with which a library card, you have access to a huge number of databases. And then Auto Repair Source, which I think is a really great resource. If you need to fix your car and you're looking for the manual, that would be the place to go for it. And then, so for East Cocalico Township statistics, in 2019, East Cocalico residents borrowed almost 80,000 physical library items, which is super impressive. That does not include any of the online resources, because those I unfortunately can't split those up by municipality, so I don't know what your numbers are for that. But the print stuff is 7.42 items per capita in 2019, and that represents a little over 53% of all the items checked out from the library. So that's awesome. Okay, this is probably the part that you guys are all really waiting for, the new library. So. I'm not sure if anyone was able to make it to our ribbon cutting, but if you have, or if you drove by recently, you'll know that the building is basically ready to go. We're largely completed. We installed the columns since the ribbon cutting out front. Today we just replaced some interior locks. We do have to replace a couple ceiling tiles, but we're basically ready to go. So our shelving came in this week, so that's going to be installed, being finalized tomorrow. And our Wi-Fi is being switched over tomorrow, which means that's the first day of our move. Thank goodness. We have been waiting for this. I'm sure you all have for a very long time. So finally we have Wi-Fi, and so that will signal the first day of our move. So we will be closed for that whole following week. We have generously received help from Tech Construction to help us with the big stuff, the furniture, the equipment. And then we also have students from Cocalico to get some volunteer hours helping us move things around as well. And then we'll be reopening for curbside pickup October 26th. We just wanted to do curbside for a week to just make sure everything was running smoothly, the computers were working. And then that following week, November 2nd, we'll start a closed stack service. So people will be able to actually come into the library. They can come pick up their holds, they can tell us what we want, we'll go grab it for them, they can bring us computer help, anything like that. They just won't be able to browse quite yet. Again, this is a little bit of a buffer for us. And then November 9th, we'll finally be able to have patrons in for browsing. It will be by appointment at this point. Same reason we needed everyone to sign in here. It'll help us with contact tracing as well as social distancing. And then eventually we do hope to move to, you don't need to schedule an appointment, but at this point we're just trying to be safe. So, again, that's where we're at right now. We will continue curbside pickup even when appointments are in place, just for anyone who's not comfortable coming inside the building. So, I'm happy to take any questions.
Carolyn, quick question for you.
Yeah.
I remember some of the information I got in the past. So East Cocalico still is your #1 municipality for utilizing the library, right? Because I remember back in 2017, looking at some of the other information the predecessor
Yeah.
gave us, 2017 we were first,
You are first.
2018 we were first, so that pattern remains.
That is correct. You
Right.
are first, yeah.
And I think the big ones were Adamstown, Brecknock, Denver, East Cocalico, and West Cocalico.
Yeah, so those are our service areas. You guys are #1. Denver and the West are pretty much tied below that, obviously, based on population and everything.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, but you guys are our #1.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Thanks,
All
Carol.
right,
Thanks,
thank you so
Carol.
much.
Thank you.
Nice evening.
You too.
Okay, moving on. Past meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Not that I have.
I did not have anything.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Lee, land planning.
Yes, good evening. First project on the agenda is Carriage Hill Phase 3 and 4. If you recall, a while back, I guess it was August 20th, you recommended, or you granted conditional approval of the plan. More recently, you had authorized signature of certain legal documents associated with that plan and authorized limited earthwork to proceed. The developer has, in the meantime, been working through his attorney and engineer to clean up any minor remaining plan items and work through the HOA documents and the developer agreement. So, really at this point, I think if you've been in the area there, you can see that they are progressing with their limited earthwork authorization and will soon be approaching a point at which they need to install infrastructure. So they're looking to clear up some items here, make sure that you authorize signature of documents, so when those come in the next week or two, those can be signed. So if there aren't any further questions, the first motion would be, as written and recommended, would be to authorize the Board of Supervisors to sign the development agreement and signed by the applicant and confirmed to be in a final form acceptable to the township and containing all required terms and conditions satisfactory to the township solicitor, including items related to the required formation of the HOA, required use of the temporary construction access, and preservation and restoration of township roadways.
Is anybody else here to represent
I
that?
did not expect anything.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
And the next motion would be to authorize the Board of Supervisors to sign the Carriage Hill Phase 3 and 4 preliminary final subdivision plan and appropriately signed by the applicant and applicant's consultants and presented to the township following satisfaction of all outstanding conditions of approval to the satisfaction of the township engineer, and township solicitor.
Somebody make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
The next item is the Wallback Landing Phase 2 final plan, final subdivision land development plan. As was obvious and previously reported, Phase 1 is well under construction, and this is the Phase 2 plan, which is in middle of being processed now. We have issued a recent review letter, and the applicant's consultant has presented a time extension offering to extend the deadline for action so that we can continue to resolve any outstanding items. The biggest item remaining for them is their PennDOT highway occupancy permit to access Stevens Road, and they have progressed past the traffic impact study portion with PennDOT and approaching the submission of that plan. So unless there's any additional questions, the project will be before the Planning Commission this month and will eventually come before you with any of the remaining items associated with Phase 2. So the motion would be to accept the time extension offer as submitted by the applicant's consultant dated September 28, 2020, which will extend the deadline for action on the Wallback Landing Phase 2 final plan subdivision land development plan until January 21, 2021.
Anybody representing them here?
I do not expect anybody.
Okay.
Okay, I will make that motion.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next project will have some discussion, and there are parties in attendance for this project, and that is the Red Run exhaust of Greenstown preliminary final land development plan. This was before you a little while back simply for a planning module, DEP postcard exemption related to water and sewer to be signed for submission to DEP. And at that time, we indicated they'd be back before you with the remaining issues associated with the plan. The Planning Commission recently did review the plan and provided recommendation on various waivers, modifications, and deferrals, and recommended conditional approval of the plan. This is, the property is along North Reading Road, opposite Redner's. In fact, the driveway access onto 272 is proposed to align with the western access for the Redner's Drive. The project will be served by public water and sewer. The authority has issued acknowledgement of satisfaction of their technical review items. The applicant has submitted for an NPDES permit with the Conservation District and DEP, which is currently under review and requires direct input from DEP, so there is some lag in additional time to have that reviewed. The applicant has also pursued a PennDOT highway occupancy permit for the driveway and has completed traffic impact assessment associated with that to determine that no turn lane would be required for that access. So the applicant has responded to multiple review letters, and the most current review letter was issued as of October 13th, 2020. So, as I indicated, there are representatives here tonight, Kevin Garner of Dean & Sons. I think the goal and the intent would be to go down through the various waiver modifications, maybe before we do some of that, if there's any general background questions, or maybe Kevin can highlight the basic size, location of the building, proposed use, and proposed layouts a little.
Sure. With Kendall Burkholder with me this evening, also the owner. This is just
We'll put it over here so they can see it.
oh, you bet.
Thank you.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah. This would be 272 along the top. Brett basically walked through most of the items there, but here we have the entrance coming off. This will be lining up with Redner's right here. Comes in and it's one-way traffic around, so you can see the building. It's a little over 11,000 square foot building proposed for Red Run exhaust. And then along the edges, we have the parking and so forth. A gravel area proposed in the back. That's one of the waiver requests. And then down beyond that is the stormwater basin. It's a bioretention basin. We have grass swales coming into it, some forebays and things for water quality, NPDES and so forth. And that then discharges down to the rear of the lot. This would be Stony Run, partially on, partially off the lot. And that's where this sanitary sewer is and where we're proposing to connect to that.
Are there any other background questions, or?
You can get that.
Why are you making the driveway opposite the driveway coming out of 272 Antiques? That driveway coming out of there is very difficult to make a right or left out of there. And to put your driveway exactly opposite, I would think would only add to the difficulty of getting in and out of those two lots.
It's actually the recommended locations with like the PennDOT and the traffic designs, so that you don't have offset driveways where you have conflicting terms.
Are you gonna be able to make a left out of there?
Yes.
What did you just say about the,
And in the back of it, what Kevin said is true, and as part of the initial discussions on the project during the pre-application meeting, concerns were raised about, what's the best point for access? Are there provisions or possibilities for shared access or access management along the corridor, which is always an objective and something to be considered with projects. Ultimately, PennDOT controls the permitting of the driveway to state road, so meeting their requirements, and that's when the applicant has to identify the use and the number of trips that would be resulting from that use, based on respected and referenced manuals. Submitted that information, was been reviewed by PennDOT, and that determined that a special left turn lane or deceleration lanes or acceleration lanes would not be required. So the proposal as presented has been reviewed by PennDOT. And I'm understanding they're ready to issue a permit, assuming some other matters related to frontage improvements. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're down to like administrative, letter credit and those kind of things.
So it is a preferred approach from the transportation engineers, and the project has been reviewed by the township transportation engineer, and two, represented by John Schick, and that location was confirmed to be the most appropriate along the frontage. And there are challenges when you offset driveways for add potential conflicts with the turning maneuvers.
it's very difficult to get out of Redner's as it is. To put a driveway exactly opposite, I think is very dangerous. And then you've got people that are riding on the shoulder, going to make a right-hand turn onto Church Street. They do that all the time.
For a certain distance, the intersection is one that's being evaluated for further improvements, so that's down beyond the access for Eagle Rental. This is west of there and west of the
I know where
undeveloped
it
portion.
is. I know where it is.
Yeah. Along 272, I think everybody understands there's concern with making left turns, and not every project can have a signalized intersection, so you have to kind of do the best you can in terms of positioning them, and ultimately PennDOT confirms that this is the best location for this driveway. Offsetting those presents other conflicts that they view as worse than the proposal to have it aligned. So the preference is to align it with an opposing drive. And we'll get into some of the other waiver modifications. There are requirements in the ordinance that can help with this access management objective and try to position drives in the most favorable places, one of which is trying to separate driveways from other driveways along the same side. And those aren't able to be satisfied in all areas along it, so it either renders the property very difficult to develop, or you evaluate it based on the projected volumes and satisfy PennDOT requirements. So one of the future waivers pertains to separation distance along the corridor.
Well, for example, the driveway coming out of Eagle Rental is not even with the other driveway of 272 Antiques. They're not right across from each other.
Yeah, well, it's obvious along the corridor, there's a lot of things that aren't aligned right or may not be permitted in the exact same way today as they were then. I can give you examples of driveways that are aligned and driveways that aren't, but the preference currently is to align, and PennDOT has indicated that with this application. Okay. So the first motion pertains to the processing of the plan and allowing them to process it as a single plan submission, meaning both preliminary and final. So the motion would be to approve a waiver modification of section 194.9 and the related subsections of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance pertaining to plan processing requirements, and authorize the plan to be submitted and processed as a single plan submission, meaning all applicable requirements of both preliminary and final plans.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next, waiver modification related to the oversized parking space. The ordinance has provisions to require oversized parking spaces that, for pull-through tractor-trailer type sizes. As the township has in the past, they've evaluated projects on a project-specific basis and trying to accommodate appropriate oversized spaces and have granted reductions in the dimensions, not the numbers of space, but the dimensions. And the applicant has requested a reduction of the oversized space to a 40-foot length in lieu of the 70-foot. And Kevin can maybe more specifically identify where the space is shown.
Right, located right there on this side. Then there's another actual unloading zone in the back. Right, that's a little bigger. That one's the one over here.
So the recommended motion as recommended by the planning commission would be to approve a waiver modification of section 19430R4 of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance pertaining to the size of the oversized parking and to authorize the use of an oversized space with a 40-foot length in lieu of the standard 70-foot length.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Some of the key items were related to frontage improvements, and as the township's aware, there's been different thoughts and discussions on frontage improvements, curb, sidewalk, and associated improvements with those along properties along 272. The standard requirement is for the installation of curb and sidewalk. The applicant has requested a deferral. The planning commission had evaluated this request, and their recommendation was to approve the requested deferral. So the next two items pertain to curb and sidewalk. Kevin can highlight where the limited curbing is shown currently. They are showing the driveway radius with curbing.
Radius and then back in. So
Similar,
basically the radius to the entrance, and then landscape islands.
so, I know this has been a hot topic along the corridor with some different thoughts on past policy and maybe future policy relative to those improvements. So, if you support the planning commission's recommendation, it would be motion to approve a deferral of the requirements of section 19432A related to sidewalks along the frontage of the property. And I would expand that, as referenced in my plan review letter, to include having the applicant add associated notation satisfactory to the township, to the plan itself, and an indication that that would include also the potential requirement for a pedestrian easement if that future location is outside the current driveway.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank
Just
you.
for clarity, that was those two motions together.
No, that was the first one for sidewalks.
Just for the sidewalks.
The next one is related to approval of deferral of requirements of section 19433A1 of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance related to curbing along the frontage of the property. And that would also be expanded to indicate that appropriate notation satisfactory to the township added to the plan acknowledging that deferral.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next one pertains to the standard curb depth and allowing the applicant to utilize the PennDOT standard for vertical curb of 18 inches. So the motion would be to approve a waiver modification of section 19433E1 of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance pertaining to concrete curbing and authorize the use of the concrete curb with a vertical depth of 18 inches consistent with the current PennDOT standard in lieu of the township 22-inch depth.
And I'll make that motion.
And I will second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next motion relates to the separation distance of the access drive, and as I indicated before. And it's outlined in the letter that there were prior discussions about potential for shared access and cross-access and other ways of trying to provide access, but the planning commission ultimately supported the drive configuration as presented and as is about to be approved by PennDOT conditional for certain administrative items being addressed. So, the motion that pertains to the approval waiver modification of section 194.25(3)(c) of the Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance pertaining to access drive separation and authorize the proposed access drive to be located as depicted on the current plan opposite the existing western access for the commercial property directly opposite the site.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
The next waiver modification pertains to the stoned area to the rear of the property. The ordinance has requirements that parking and associated maneuvering areas be paved. The only similar requests that have come up in the past would be Elite Trucking or Keoli on Stone Hill Road has a stone area to the rear. And at one point in time, Garden Spot Frame and Alignment had discussed a possible stone area. That one was later withdrawn and they proceeded to construct an additional accessory building and pave it. So the applicant has requested a waiver modification to have that rear portion stone. They are indicating that it does not contain any of their required parking or any of their required oversized parking or their unloading area, simply being an additional storage or reserved area. And as was expressed at the planning commission level, one of their objectives, their stormwater basin has been designed to accommodate that as paved area, and they wish to kind of take a step towards that and then incrementally possibly pave that area in the future. I don't know if you want to hear any further from Kevin or the applicant as to.
Brent said, well, it provides, in the event there would be an overflow need, it provides that, but it also kind of solidifies that the stormwater was done for that amount. Plans are only good for a certain amount of time, and since the work was put into the design and everything, it kind of gets in there. It did come up the sides before, and that was changed per the planning commission's recommendation. We're showing that now as future parking, or future paving. So the design still accounts for it, but if or when that goes in, it has to be paved immediately. It can't be gravel for a temporary situation.
You mean along the sides then?
Along the sides, yeah. So then we just kept the back portion as the gravel portion that the waiver's referring to.
So, yeah, the motion would be then to approve a waiver modification in section 194.30 of the Cocalico subdivision land development ordinance related to the surface material for the access drive and overflow parking, and to authorize the utilization of a gravel surface for the southern portion of the site, approximately 70 feet deep, and the width of the adjacent stage area.
So I'll make that motion.
Second. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
The last waiver modification is related to stormwater, and this is worked out between Kevin and our office during the stormwater review, and was done to allow a more aggressive management of the stormwater from the property and regulate the release rate. And it is consistent with their approach currently being reviewed by EDP relative to the facility. So the motion would be to approve a waiver modification of section 194.24B of the Cocalico Township Stormwater Management Ordinance related to stormwater basin dewatering time, and authorize the use of an extended dewatering time for the rate control storage to exceed 24 hours as approved by the township engineer.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
And then the if you're interested in light of the deferral being granted, the next recommended motion would be relative to granting conditional approval, since there's no substantial changes required to the plan relative to the frontage improvements. So the motion would be to grant conditional approval of the final plan for Red Run exhaust, conditioned upon the applicant satisfying and resolving all remaining items as outlined in the Becker Engineering, that's updated the October 13th, 2020 review letter to the satisfaction of the township zoning officer, township solicitor, and township engineer.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And the other agenda items are all related to financial security reductions, so we'll deal with those. The first one is related to a little more stormwater management plan, and based on the progress and observations and correspondence and site visits conducted, the motion is to authorize a $113,887 reduction in the current financial security being held by the township for the Walmart stormwater management plan, resulting in the remaining financial security to be held by the township being reduced to $32,274.
Anybody here representing that
I
plan?
did not expect that, but
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
presidential cabinets have completed their land development plan and the associated improvements, so the motion and submitted as-built plan, so the motion appropriate for that project at this point would be the motion to authorize the full release of the current financial security being held by the township for the preliminary final land development plan for presidential cabinets upon the applicant's consultant first completing the minor remaining items identified in Becker's email correspondence dated October 9, 2020, to the satisfaction of the township.
Anybody here representing that plan?
No.
Okay.
I will make that motion.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next one relates to the members first land development plan, and the facility is obviously up and operating. There's a few remaining items, and they have requested a substantial reduction in their financial security currently being held by the township. So based on our initial review of the as-built plan information and prior site visit observations, the motion is to authorize a $229,693.05 reduction in the current financial security being held by the township for the preliminary final subdivision land development plan for members first 2050 North Reading Road, resulting in the remaining financial security to be held by the township being reduced to $10,445.74.
Anybody representing that plan?
Did not expect it.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
I will second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
If there's nothing else.
Any other questions of Mr. Reed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next matter of business, office space control.
And line painting in Hollow Court and Quail Court. Oh, right, Quail Hollow.
With a price of $3,270.60. What's the wish of the board?
Just a question for Brett on that. I guess that is priced out similarly to the other job they did.
Very close to the homestead development. Within a couple, I think it's $400 difference. Basically the same amount of work. I think it's 14 stop bars and 18 crosswalks that are going to go in there. Basically to catch up on the paving that was done last year.
The price per foot, it looks like
Yes,
it's similar.
same exact price.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good.
So the motion to approve proposal submitted by Office Space Control for line painting Cocalico Development in the amount of $3,270.60. I'll make that motion.
That's just second that.
Jeff should second.
I'll second.
I live in the neighborhood.
Welcome to your neighborhood. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thanks, Jeff. Just I live there.
The next thing is Park and Rec survey. It's a motion to approve sending out a Freetown Pool Park survey regarding renovating the 3 proposed basketball court area. And it is recommended by the Park and Rec Board that we survey the community and see if that's what they want. So what's the wish of the board?
Yeah, Alan, I guess with a little more background with that, there's a basketball court there that needs a little bit of TLC, a resurfacing. And there was some comments, I guess a few rec board members had said, well, maybe that should be repurposed. And they came to the conclusion, let's send out a email or a survey to see what the residents want. If there's some other ideas there, perhaps a top lot or small playground, a lawn court where you could have badminton or bocce, another picnic area with a pavilion there. There was talk about a skateboard, scooter, bike park, and there's another line for others, any other ideas. So it's just a way of them reaching out to the community to see if there's interest in any other things there instead of a basketball court. You can walk down a path there and just be into the Reamstown Park where there is a basketball court. So, you know, there was a lot of interest in keeping that there as it is currently and resurfacing. So this will be a way for the residents to weigh in to see what the interest is there. So I think it's a good idea.
You making the motion then?
I will make the motion.
I'll second it. Any comments or questions at this time? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Police Department, Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chair, I believe you have a motion in reference to Officer Lane.
Motion is to accept the letter of formal notification that Tyler Lehman is resigning from my position in the Cocalico Police Department Tuesday, October 6, 2020. I'll make that motion.
I will second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, Chief.
All right. So throughout the last month, officers have been active in the school, the football games, sporting events, and also the various drills that are going on. They usually happen at the beginning of the year. So we assist. Officer Fisher takes part in many of those drills. So as they are needed, whether it's a fire drill or otherwise, so we've been participating in those. We have completed our firearms and qualifications training for the year. Officer Walsh has, again, done a phenomenal job as our Department Armor and Range instructor. And I would also like to formally thank Fisher Peak Gun Club for allowing the department to utilize the facilities. We basically take over for most of 2 days. We try to have as little impact on their schedule as we can, but they are very gracious in allowing us to do that every year. We received a generous donation from Dentech. They again gave a donation of $1,500 to the department, and we decided that we were going to use that to complete the purchase of the active shooter kits, which are, as I showed before, the ballistic helmets and the ballistic vest carriers. They're heavy plates that are resistant to rifle rounds. So each car is now outfitted, including the 2 unmarked cars. So each car has one of those. So I very much thank Dentech for, again, their generous donation. extra officers will be on patrol on October 3rd during trick or treat. So we have purchased the candy to be handed out. Kids seem to like that. And we also will be again handing out our little famous red and blue blinking lights that the kids can put on their costumes so they can be seen from a distance. They usually enjoy getting those. So we just drive around to the various areas and stop when we see the children and get out and give them those items. So you can be looking for our officers out participating in that. And we are currently in the application process. To date, we have 16 applicants, and the application process closes October 21st, 2020. So we will continue with that effort in reference to completing and coming up to the 16 applicant force. Other than that, I really don't have anything else.
Any consideration for extra police on election day?
We've been talking about it. We're going to discuss it and see how things are. We have to be very careful in reference to the polling places and what we do there due to state law. But we will obviously keep it in mind. There is some planning going on.
Any other questions of the chief? Well, thank you, Chief. Zoning officer, Tony.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'll keep it short and sweet in light of the size of the agenda tonight. Another busy month in the zoning department. 43 applications, 40 permits issued, 26 in review and 15 for pickup. We did have 6 new single-family dwelling units in that period of time. We did have 18 certificates of occupancy issued. On the zoning hearing board, we had a case in September. That decision was granted yesterday. Mr. Richard Edwards requested a special exception and a variance for the property he purchased over at number 1 North Greenstown Road, the Wells Fargo Bank. I think everybody's familiar with that. He did get, that decision was granted. That building will be modified for a hair salon. I do have one new case for the October hearing, and that was the applicant asked for a continuance based on the COVID situation we have now. I believe everybody's familiar with the old, not the old building, but the rancher over on the Benderson property, across from the True Hilton. I'm happy to say the Benderson folks, the property manager for Benderson, has reached out to a couple of local contractors to get that building removed, get the site graded, seeded, and stabilized. We should see that happening within the next few weeks. I wanted to bring people up to date on the census, 2020 census. As of midnight tonight, it does end, it does shut down. But I do have some numbers concerning the census and how we did here in East Cocalico Township. Out of 2,500 plus cities and townships in the state, they have a ranking system based on the percentage of response. Out of 2,500 plus, East Cocalico Township came in at 292. Roughly 80.8% of the people have been counted, which is good that responded. The number 1 township was Baldwin Township. They came in at 89.4%. And the worst area was out in Deerfield Township, Warren County, which is up near Erie. They came in at 27.6%. So we did pretty well. I'm happy to say the residents in the township stepped up. We got counted, and as we all know, that helps the township out in the long run. And as of that, if any questions, I'll move on.
Question?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you, did you receive Friday the deadline for the neighbor?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes. I can add one more thing.
thank you.
Miss Marie reminds me, I do have 4 zoning hearings for November. That property you're mentioning is one of them.
Okay.
The township zoning hearing board doesn't like to go past a certain time of night, but you can't deny folks to try and be heard, so we're going to try and get 4 cases in. We do have prospective 2 more cases for December, so it's going to be busy. But yes, to answer your question, we did get that application. It is on the docket for that November 11th hearing. Okay?
November
11th,
11th.
yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Second Wednesday of the month. Yes, Doug?
Tony, going back a couple meetings ago, Doug McNamara, you mentioned, you brought up Shady Maple.
Yes, sir.
As a follow-up question, you had talked about their engineer coming together with the owner to put a full-blown stormwater management plan for that 5 acres together. Where does that stand right now?
We had a meeting last Thursday, Doug, with their engineer, with their plan. They finally have everything down on paper. We were in that meeting with the manager, our engineer, Brent Lee, was there, and also our MS4 technician. So now they've designed several facilities on the site, and we got together to review those. Also to review the calculations of those basins and all that good stuff. So that's where it is. Finally, we have something on paper. They designed it. Now it's a matter of us reviewing it with them to make sure those calculations hold out. So that's where we're at.
That's for the whole entire thing, not just bits and pieces, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Tony? Judy?
June came back, would it be possible to reach out to whoever owns the property on the corner of 272 and 897, if you're making a right-hand turn off of 897 and going north onto 272? It's very hard to see there. All that overgrowth is just,
You're talking about the old partner property. It's a vacant building, an old antique building?
Yeah.
I know exactly where you're at. In fact, I saw it just the other day myself, and I said, boy, that's an accident waiting to happen.
yep.
I'll have a letter out to them hopefully first thing next week, and we'll get them to cut that property.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, June.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Roadmaster, Brett.
Start by washing turn next year trucks weekly, cleaning drains as needed with weather permitting, repairing signs as needed, generating a list of signs that need fixed, straightened or updated. 2 examples, Faust Drive at North Reading Road. I noticed that the post itself was basically crooked and half leaning, so I had the crew change out the post and put a new sign up and had that set to 7 feet. Called PennDOT to fix the stop sign at the intersection of South Line Road at Wabash Road. It was only set at 4 feet. They came out and trimmed a couple bushes there and reset it to 7 foot at this location. Taking care of residents' complaints or concerns. Resident called in stating that there's a dip in the road at 31 Oak Lane. I went out and checked this out and have plans on doing some kind of a blacktop patch there before the blacktop plant closes to avoid the hazard moving forward. Just settlement over time, old road. Resident called in to complain about Homestead Playground not being taken care of and wanted to see new lines in the basketball court. Called JW Seal Coating, got a quote to reseal that court, paint new lines in the basketball court, including the pickleball lines. This job was done on seal coated on October 7th, 2020, and came back the day later to repaint the lines. Also talked with S&S Seal Coating prior to this work being started, but they only do residential smaller projects as far as driveways. Tuesday, September 22nd, got a call from Cocalico School District in regards to 34 Blue Jay Drive with an overhang tree branch, and it affected the division and travels of their buses in this location. I had a crew limb up trees on this street in reference to this concern. A crew was advised to limb up 14 feet or so and back to the start of the curb line. The address of 34 Blue Jay Drive was sent out a letter to in regards to the trees that overhung the roadway by our zoning officer. This area was trimmed back by the homeowner after receiving this letter. Line painting for 2020 is has started this week by Alpha Space Control. They're painting the normal striped every year, lines that are striped every year, in addition to crosswalks and stop bars in the newly paved Homestead development, plus now the Quail Hollow development that was paved last year. I also added a stop bar at the intersection of South Line Road at Wabash Road. West Cocalico had painted the other side, so we are going to paint our side to help with the stopping at that intersection. Friday, October 2nd, I called PennDOT to inquire about them at that same location about putting their stop bars at that location. Waiting